Hi everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever you are. I hope you're having a beautiful, beautiful day or night. Afternoon. So, I actually wasn't thinking that I was gonna come live today, but the message was so clear. Yes, we must talk about these things, which is actually one of my favorite topics to talk about energy and energetic channels, and it's so fun. So, yeah, we went into town today to pick up some stuff, and then, hi Arjun, hi Jennifer, so good to see you. And I was like so busy, like, cleaning the kitchen and all these things, and I was so hungry, and I was like, well, maybe we're not coming online today, even though the message clearly this morning was like, we're talking about this. And then it's like, yes, we're going live today. Hi Kelly, how are you? Hi Lavita, how's it going? I'm very good, Arjun, how are you? I was in the garden. Well, we were in the garden a couple minutes ago. I think something bit me. So, I hope everybody's having a beautiful, beautiful Friday. Hi, Hasaya. How are you? So many energy things. How are you guys anyway? Because I feel like it's not just me, the one that's going through this massive shift. I know that for sure. So I hope everybody's doing well and sitting with everything or whatever comes through, even if you don't really understand what's going on. Trust that you will understand eventually what's going on. Sometimes things just need a little bit more time to be understood, especially when it's things that come from childhood or even past lifetimes, right? Oh, good, Kelly, good. Yes, I'm doing very, very good. I had a little, what did we call it? We said we were not calling them triggers anymore. Revelations. Literally right before I came on live. So it was really funny. And I had to go back into that space, like we have to go back into the space and not allow those energies to suck you out of the present moment. So, yay, Jennifer. Oh, thanks, Hosea. I got a super duper 10 when we went hiking last weekend, and now I got sunburned, but now I got a 10, so it's good. Hi, Peter, how's it going? But anyways, hi, George. So today we're going to talk about energetic channels, and I love that part of life. I love that part of life because when you get to, when you surrender to that space of energy within your own self, because remember, first is about you, right? Within your own self, and you can totally understand and see what's going on. But the space, just like any other space, must be acknowledged first, and it must have the openness to be able to share something with you in the way that you can understand. Say, that's normal. That's a human, right? So we just have to remember that. To work with the mind rather than the mind working just by itself and thinking that it's the leader in a sense, So before we go into all these beautiful things, so the self-love activation that we recorded is now online. It's on the website if you would like to get it. It's really beautiful, you guys. I'm just like fascinated, but when the creator does something through you, the creativity comes, which it comes from that space, like the thing that you can create is like, whoa, spectacular. So I'll put the link after the live video. And Wednesday we're having the connectivity transmission, which will be at this time. If you feel free to, if you would like to do it, it's an effort. It's just donation based. So. Okay. So first of all, we have to acknowledge that everything in life is energy, right? Even if at times it just doesn't feel like it. When you look at a wall, you know, it looks so solid, and it's almost like, how in the world are you just like energy, right? But it's just the way the mind sees everything. There is a show in Gaia. Goodness, what is the name of the show? It'll come back to me. But it's really, it really shows, you know, that everything's formed out of sacred geometry. Everything's formed out of sacred geometry, right? And so the way that we see stuff is because that's how the mind chooses to give a form, to be able to see something, right? As the mind looks solid rather than just the energy patterns, because that's what is happening within you and around you, energy patterns. And the mind needs to figure out how it can be perceived, and how you can come to understand that not just as patterns of energy and sacred geometry, but something else, right? And it's a little tricky in a sense, because, you know, we live in this 3D world, right? So unless you've grown up with your parents or your family or whoever telling you everything is energy and it's just patterns, that you're like, how? I mean, that totally happened to me. I don't know if that happened to you guys as well. But so speaking about you, right? So let's go into the space that, again, that this is all about you, and then you must understand what's moving within your being, right? So when you begin to pay attention to everything that is happening within yourself. So we start by revelations, right? So by what is seen as triggers, right? When you sit with those, you actually, in a sense, are calming them down, and then you're telling them that they are important to you, and then you want to listen. So it doesn't matter, like we keep saying, it doesn't matter if you don't understand them. It doesn't matter if they hurt or not. They just want to be acknowledged, like everything within your being, right? Because they're just knocking the door really loud, and they want you to open it, just because they want to be expressed in whichever way it is. No, it doesn't just have to be by energy or patterns or sounds. It could also be through feelings, or perhaps even visions or some kind of memories in the mind, right? So when you begin to sit with those things and you begin to give them space and you tell them that they're important to you. So, you know, like these things that I share with you, like you can add your own things, right? You can add, how do you call this? You can use your own creativity and imagination to speak to something within you, right? So you can take, again, little tools from people, but then you can mix it up in your own, give your own seasoning. In Spanish it says sabor, you know, your own sabor. I don't know if that makes sense in English, but it sounded kind of cool. And that way you can totally go into the space of how does your own being like to express itself, or parts of you, right? Because some parts of you might share things differently than the other part. So especially when it's talking about like the chakra system, your heart might express itself through feelings, perhaps, you know, maybe the third eye expresses itself by thoughts. So it just depends, or visions, right? It depends. So you gotta pay attention of like how those things work within your own organism. So again, whenever you start to pay attention to those things and you give them space, right? You are just like, you can say as your best friend, you know, holding space for little of your little best friends, little aspects of you. Hi Marisol, so good to see you. And so then everything begins to be less dense within you. And the energy begins to move freely, like it continues to flow, right? So everything in life just wants to flow. So within you, there's still that part of life that just wants to flow and flow and flow. So when energy gets stuck, it's because something is not being recognized. Something inside of you is saying, I want to share this with you. And whether you don't really feel it or you're just like, I don't want to go there right now, then it begins to clog. You know, and rather than flowing, it just gets stuck. But it continues. It still wants to speak and it still wants to say these things, so it continues to knock on the door. Just you give them a little space, right? Even if it's just a tiny bit, so the flow continues to go through you. So the more you continue to do those kinds of things. Hi, Face, is that how you say your name? I don't have a card. I don't have oracle cards with me. They're actually in the States. So where was I? So when you give them space and they continue to flow, right, then a bigger space opens up within you. So you can see it as, I like to use the crystals, right? So you can see this, let's say this crystal, right, is a part of between your solar plexus and the heart that just, you wanted to speak. So you were not allowing it to, or you didn't really know it was speaking to you. So it becomes like this, rather than just the flow and the waves of energy within you. So the more that you continue to listen to it and pay attention to even subtle things within you, then it begins to get smaller and smaller, right? So it goes from this size to this size, because then it's flowing. So it's like, okay, cool, you pay attention to me, so I'm just gonna continue to flow because that's what I wanted to do, you know? And then until it just disappears and it's just waves. So whenever a space that was very, very dense and thick and heavy begins to soften and the energy just moves, it opens up a bigger space for you to be able to feel what is happening within you. And so that's why it's so important to sit with whatever is moving through you, even if it's really just not very fun, right? Even if it's not really fun and you're not in the mood, but always go back into why are you doing it, right? Are you doing it because you're just scared of seeing what it's coming through, or you maybe don't even know how to do so, right? But honestly, the easiest way to sit with something is literally sit with something and just sit with it and just ask it, how are you doing? What do you want to communicate to me? What is it that you need right now? Just imagine that whenever you are in that space, right, when you feel low or you're mad or whatever it is, and your best friend comes and he tells you, what is it that you need? How do you want me to hold space for you? Just think about like that, right? So you got to use your imagination, visualization, and all those things to make it less intense, to make it softer. So then it's easier for the mind to be trained and to actually want to go into that space. Because of course, especially when you have a lot of anxiety or so angry or really, really sad, it's definitely not very easy to go into that space, right? But since if you have trained your mind and your entire organism to just sit with something, whenever you get those emotions about the pressure, anxiety, or etc., it becomes a little easier. Because then again, it's okay, something is speaking, I'm going to sit with it, and I'm just going to give it space. Mm-hmm. And just remember that the more you give it space, is the more the energy continues to flow. Rather than just being stuck like a rock, it continues to flow. When the energy begins to be really stuck as like a rock, really is solid, that it creates this ease. So you're not in an easy way of flowing with life, and everything starts in the energetic realms. So they're flowing and flowing and flowing until nothing is paying attention, or it's just an aspect just not paying attention. It begins to get thicker, and you can say it creates this fear of energy, of stuck energy, that rather than flowing like this, it's just flowing like this in the same spot. And other parts that wanted to help around is trying to do that. I think giving it a little push, it's okay, you can move, Kind of like when your parents are holding the bike behind you and you're learning to ride a bike, right? It's literally that's what's happening. The energies around that thickness, right? It's kind of like being like, okay, hey, it's okay, you can move, but it wants that attention, right? It wants that attention, and so that stuck energy does create disease in the energetic bodies, and the more it's not heard, then it comes into the physical body. And I just want to like do a side note before we continue into this energetic channels that, and I'm speaking from experience, you know, I know there is literally nothing that you cannot heal. And I'm telling you this because my physical body has healed tremendously. That's why I feel that I'm a miracle, and it's a miracle that I am here alive speaking to you, because it was messed up. It was completely messed up. And I know why. You know, I know because of all the traumas, I know because I didn't pay attention, and I know because I just was living like 28 years of my life just thinking that I was just a human and then nothing really was happening or going on. And I didn't know about those things, you know? So you can't heal anything if you go really deep into that space, and if you go really deep into listening to that which wants to speak. And it's a constant change, you guys. Of course, it's not really just going to be like, boom, you're healed, you know? I mean, okay, it can't happen. But most of the time, it takes time. It really takes a lot of time. And so that's why I'm saying this, you know, because I've healed through energy, and I've healed through unconditional love, and I've healed through surrender. I didn't really go to a doctor or anything like that, besides the depression that I was going through when I had 2 therapists and a psychiatrist and all those things, but those things didn't really work. And so then I started to, somehow, I just found myself in the energetic realms, and I realized how powerful they were, and also the power of affirmations, you know, the power of affirmations and that rewiring the brain to totally believe in other things besides of what the regular doctors tell you. And I'm not saying that they're not helpful, you know, for some people it definitely helps. But for me, that wasn't the case. And I know it wasn't the case because that's who I am. I'm an energy teacher and an energy guide, and I had to go through all those things in order to learn how to maneuver the energy world, to be in this space, to share this with you. So remember that, honestly, there's so much magic in the world. So if you begin to give magic just a little space, it will begin to share so many things with you. And then you just won't believe that, like, okay, I have to do this way, and this is the only way I can heal. You can go behind those things and into your own intuition and the own guidance to truly see the best way of how you can heal something. Okay, now let's get back into the energetic channels. And so you can totally see your organism as a highway, and just as interconnected little beings. You guys, my best friend is watching right now. I call him something that I shouldn't say online, but hi Mando. But anyways, so I love you too. So you can see your entire organism just like energy channels all throughout, right? Or you can visualize it as a city. And it has the main highways, and it has the main roads, and it has the little side streets. So whenever the highway is really packed, right, as in like all these things were created, stuck energy, then what do you choose? So you choose to go to a different route, unless you want to be stuck there. Most of the time, people don't really have the patience, right? So it's the same thing that is happening inside. And so then you begin, or the energy begins to maneuver itself through other different pathways to find a way how to get, for example, from the root chakra into the heart. So the more it's clogged, the more the organism doesn't even know what to do. and it's trying to find all these ways of like, okay, how do I get to the heart chakra? Can I go this way? Can I find a little space to the sacral and just go literally like this and up and down and to the sides and everywhere just to get there? And it takes longer, right? It takes longer because everything else is blocked. And so those blocked energies just begin to create something so is felt very deeply in your own organism and in the physical body. For example, whenever the heart is closed, right, or they just went through so much hurt, right? So it shrinks, you know, it just like covers itself up so much, just like a little child, and it's just like, I don't want to see this anymore. I don't want to believe in love anymore. And so there's people are out to get me, or people are not going to be really nice to me. So they continues to shrink, right? So I'm exaggerating on the form that the shoulders came in, but that's normally what happens. When you have a really trained eye, you can see just a slight difference when somebody's like this, so the heart is just closed. You know, so then what happens whenever you begin to like sit with anything, and you know the closeness of the heart can actually like come from the root chakra. It can come from the sacral. It can come from even like the third eye or the throat. Because remember that everything is connected. Everything in you is connected, and everything wants to work in balance. So the heart chakra begins to shrink like this. So the moment that you sit with it and you sit with whatever it comes, right? For example, let's give an example. For example, right, like you just want to share something and you're not being heard. Then it takes you back into a space that happened before, where it was like 2 years ago in another relationship, or when you were a teenager, or who knows, right? And so like it totally activates that part in the heart where it's like, I was hurt and I wasn't like really hurt. And so like, you know, the throat is closed, but he wants to close even more. He doesn't want to say anything, and the heart is closed. But then when you begin to sit and understand, it's like, oh, that was because in my previous relationship, I wasn't able to express myself. And I understand now where this is coming from. There might be another thing bigger behind the scenes, but the first layer of that onion is that part. You know, so you begin to do that, and it begins to open up a little bit more. And what happens, you know, the heart shrunk, right? So the heart shrunk, and as you begin to give it space and listen to it, or any other parts that are connected, everything's connected, then it begins to open up even more. And that's the reason why sometimes like those heartaches are so painful. It's not that your heart is being broken, it's that in a sense your heart is rebirthing. So it was like so small first, especially if you went through like a very rough time for so many years, and it just shrunk, and then it just needs to open back up, right? So when it begins to open up, it's like, wow, this is just so much, and it hurts, and it might feel like your heart is breaking, but it's totally expanding. And but still, you know, you have to feel that, because so much, it's just when you grow, right? When you're going from like a kid to a teenager, right? Like the bones expand, and some people feel those like aches in the muscles and the bones is the exact same thing. That like the heart got really small, so it has to relearn to grow and to expand itself. So it just begins to be like, oh, okay, that hurts. Oh, okay, that hurts, until it's able to like completely bloom and be what it wants to be. So that's why you have so many pains that happen, and it happens this with every single chakra, right? Like when the solar plexus also, when you don't listen or you don't believe that you're good enough, or you just, when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's kind of like, why do I look like this? Why do I have this nose? Or whatever it is, you know, this color of this face, you know, and it's like you're shrinking it. You're shrinking it because it just wants to expand all the time. It wants to be super powerful, but you're just like shrinking it because you are telling it that it's not good enough, and it's a crappy thing. And that's why all this releases of energy hurt, because every time something comes up, it gives that space to expand, right? Like that, when we were saying the contraction and expansion, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, okay, and it totally hurts. But no, whenever you're doing this work, that's what happens. And if you keep that and kind of like in your own sphere, that you can totally see it every day, then it's easier to maneuver through it. It gets easier and easier and easier, because you know then like, okay, well, yes, my heart was very close at one moment, and now I'm relearning to open it up, and it's expanding as it wants. And of course, this is gonna happen a little. It has nothing to do with your heart being broken in a sense, because I know that's how it feels like. But nobody breaks your heart. Nobody breaks your heart. What happens around you, let's say in a relationship, right? Let's just say in childhood. What happens, what your parents said to you or your family members or whatever it was that made the heart close, it's not that they were like literally shooting at your heart and breaking it. It's just because of everything that is around you. Your heart believed that it wasn't good enough and that nobody was loving it, so it shrunk itself. And so it shrinks, and because remember, so let's say that your heart begins like this and it starts to contract, that also hurts, right? So that's why it feels like a heartache and somebody's breaking your heart. And the moment, because again, nobody has power over you unless you give them power. And so if we tend to give power to our partners, right? It's like we tend to just give them all the power and they'll have so many boundaries. And that's why it's very good to have boundaries for yourself and let them know, like, okay, when I feel this way, I just want to be alone. Or when I feel this way, I just want to be with you, and things like that. Or whatever else, however you work, right? So that way there's that communication and they can understand a little bit more of how you work. So think about your organism again like a map, right? Like a map, like a city, like this magnificent city, that everything is just moving around constantly. So you want to clear those pipes, right? You want to clear those pipes so the energy is just like, ooh, I'm flowing, this is dope. Rather than being like, oh, okay, we got to find another road. Well, that road doesn't work. Let's go into this way. Because that way there's no a full connection with other parts of your being. And again, everything wants to be connected, everything wants to be in balance, everything wants to be loved and accepted. So that's why I really love that a part of the creator that comes through me is through light language, because that's what happens in light language. When you're hearing the light language, even though we feel that we are here in this 3D world, right? There's no time and there's no space. It's like a portal opened up and it took that part of you to another space, and they're just having a direct communication in it's like less than a second. And a part of you is saying, this is how I feel. The light language is like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for you. So then you can actually like go into the space and remove some things and feel empowered. And they're like, okay, cool, dope. And then it works. Normally it tends to be just like this instant. But if it's only like the surface, the first layer of the onion, then it works through that layer and it goes into the other layer, into the other layer, and into the other layer until it's free. And so that's something like that is really amazing. And of course, I'm not the only one that does it. I actually know a couple people, some friends, they are able to channel light language, which is a divine sound, right? When it comes from source, there's no such thing as a language. It's just a vibration, it's a wave. But in order to be here with you and whatever is happening with you, it has to be translated in a way that this current consciousness, your current consciousness, understands. Otherwise, you're just going to be confused, right? It has to meet you somewhere in the middle, or maybe a little bit more than the middle, so then your own organism can be like, okay, I can relax into this and I can go into that. So for some of you that are working with me or have been in the group sessions, right? When the light language is speaking, that's why there's so much peace and so much ease and so much love, because it comes from source and it's taking that part of you back to that space so you feel like that. And because it's just so gentle and so loving and it's just opening up this bigger space for you, there is nothing else than surrendering. So that's why it's really, really beautiful. Now, so when you begin to totally sit with everything that is happening with you, you begin to be tuned into your own energies. And remember that we keep saying that it's very, very important to recognize your own energy. Otherwise, how can you recognize when somebody is throwing you something, right? So now when there's something, even though there can be stuck energies, right, like the little rock, right? There's also can be holes in your own organism. Like you can see them as tunnels, more like wells, right? So, but it's not going inwards, it's going outwards. And so through that hole or through that well, your energy is going out of your own organism. And so that's why it's good, again, to love yourself, right? So when you give your power away to someone, that someone can actually, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, can throw, you can call it like an arrow with a rope, into your own system and be like, okay, you're mine, right? It's just kind of like when you walk your dog or if you have children. Now there's that thing about like having children in leashes, which I find so funny, but it works, it works. So kind of like that, right? So they have you in a leash. And so like, because your power was part of you, that power was given away to them. And so that's why that energy goes out to them rather than staying in your own organism and circulating like it wants to do. It's still circulating part of it, but part of it goes out into them. So that's why they create little holes where the energy escapes. And that's why when we're saying last week or something, you call back those different aspects of you that they're walking around the earth or every single space that you've been in, then you empower yourself back and you bring all the energy back into you. But remember, when you do that, if you're not prepared to feel it all at once, call them little by little so you don't overwork your system, and then at the same time you don't feel overwhelmed by so many things that are happening at once, right? So if you are newer to these things, okay, of course have some guidance, but if you were like me, you just wanted to experience that, just be gentle, right? And then when you know that you just you can't just do it by yourself, just get the appropriate guidance, because then you can actually shock your own organism so much that rather than helping it, you're definitely not helping it. And it goes more into those stock energies and those little holes, they're like sending the energy somewhere else. So, your organism is a map of a bunch of like little roads, right? They're called nadis, energetic channels, right? And through everything, which the road goes out, just like cities, right? So you can say, I'm a city, you are a city, and then there's many roads or highways that take you into that city. So that's how we are all connected, so okay, I'm operating in my own system and in my own city, in my own map, and I want to connect deeper with my boyfriend. So he has his own map and his own city, and then we have energy channels that go to that one. The more that you are closer with someone, the more roads are built. And that's why I was saying yesterday, or whichever day that we were online, that it's good to have your own time, so then you know how the system works, because then it could just become this ginormous city, right? That there's no separation. And in a sense, that's kind of cool, but then if something were to happen that it just breaks off and you just leave each other, then it's like you don't even understand, because like, whoa, I thought you were part of my city. What just happened? And this happened to me when I separated from my ex, because we were together all the time. We did everything together besides when I was teaching or doing all those things. But generally speaking, we were together. So rather than being like two different cities and then we had the roads connecting, we were just one ginormous city. And so when that separation happened, like my assistant just didn't even know what to do with itself, because it felt like part of the city was missing, which is true. That's what happened, So it had to build its own city again. So again, think about your own organism that way. If you don't really want to connect with someone, then you don't have to. Right? So if somebody's not serving you well and you know that, rather than helping you to empower yourself, rather than raising your vibrations, they're bringing it down, then you can disconnect a little from that city. You don't have to connect with every single one of us. Of course, we're all connected, but it's your choice. If you really want to connect with the entire world, or you want to connect with that person that is, in a sense, opening up the space for you to harm yourself. Right? And that could also be a revelation, but if you're not ready to look at that aspect, it's okay to say no right now. I will look at it when I actually feel that I'm very empowered and ready to look at that aspect, rather than harming myself more at this moment. And this happens in life a lot, right? I had to stop talking to one of my best friends before I left Las Vegas because she was best friends with this person that I totally gave my power away to him. And so when I will hang out with her, I will feel his energy and it will make me very uncomfortable. So I had to say, my city had to say, I love you. And this sucks because I said that crying. This sucks, but I can't speak with your city right now. I can't be connected with your city like we were normally. And so I just need my space. And luckily she understands because she's also a Reiki master. And she said, don't worry, do what you need to do. So this is what happens, because then if you have, in a sense, that toxic city, so that city that just decided that it was very hurt from childhood or just never felt good about itself, and it just wants to put that out into the other cities, it will. And if you give it the power and if you open your city, then all those energies are going to come into your city, in a sense, infected, Is this making sense? So that way you just say like, okay, you are just perhaps a little toxic, and maybe that is something I must look into, because you are definitely revealing something within myself that I'm not ready. And I know that you have your own things, and I just want to keep my bubble, your city, protected and in a safe space in a way, because you must feel safe within your own organism in order for the organism to soften and speak to you in the way that it wants to speak to you. Because otherwise, then it's not. Just like your own inner child, right? It's not really gonna be like, hey, I wanna tell you this. It's like, if it feels like you're blocking it and you don't care, it's not gonna speak. And what you want it to do is to speak, to let you know what it needs. And again, so the more that the energies begin to move, and they're not just stuck in a little pebble or in a little bubble or sphere, then you begin to feel those energies moving until you can totally just be like, whoa, okay, that was definitely something that came out of my root chakra, but because everything's linked, it was also related to my solar plexus, to my heart, and my throat. So you will see and feel where the cleansiness of those channels happened. And that's a beautiful thing, right? But again, it takes practice. It takes practice, and it takes a willingness to sit with those emotions that come through, because the emotions are not coming through just to make you feel crappy or to make you feel low. They're coming through because they want to exit, and they really want to flow again back into excuse me, in harmony, with everything in you. Oh, yay, awesome. Cool. Hi everyone that just tuned in. But so, this is what's happening within you. And I love to expand my mind and the way I see things and play like a child in a sense, use the imagination, use the creativity to be able to see what's happening inside. And remember that in the energetic world, like nothing, there's no limits. There's no limits. And so when you, again, remember yourself, all those things, then you can actually go into like, okay, I can do this. Wait, I was still speaking, so I'm not sure if the connection failed. But is everybody hearing me okay? Anyway, so that is what is going on. Let me just double check that I'm actually still on here. Okay, cool. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, cool. Yay. So again, we're all creators, and we all have the creativity within you. So that's why if you are not finding creativity, is because something is not really flowing in your system. right? And you want to give them space to it, and really be like, okay, like, what do you need? And most of the times when like big blockages happen, like there's really big pebbles within you, is because something massive happened. And what we call this is trauma, right? And so you gotta go into the trauma, and you gotta be like, okay, I'm gonna sit with you, and I am gonna recommend that when you're working to a trauma, you actually work with someone that can guide you. Because otherwise, if you don't know how to guide yourself and to be at ease with what is happening, it can actually make the pebble go from here into here. And you don't want to do that, right? Unless you know how to work with energy and those things, then go for it. But otherwise, I totally recommend that you go with someone that knows what they're doing and they've been doing this work for a while. Because the last thing you want to do is to shut down your own organism, right? I mean, I hope that you don't want to do that anyway. So think about, again, your system as a city, as a map, to see everything, and you can absolutely see anything you want within your own map, right? Just like in a city, right? When you are in Las Vegas, you can go to the Strip and see the new casinos, or you can go into downtown and see the old casinos, so you can go into another part and another neighborhoods or parts of Las Vegas. There is Summerlin or Henderson and all these things. So that is what is happening within you. So you can see your chakras and what's around the chakras as a different part of your map, a different part of your city. And they still like continues to maneuver and connect with other parts, but treat that part as their own organism. Because again, that's what they wanna feel too, that you acknowledge them, that they are their own entity in a sense, and they work how they work, but they still connect with different parts. So whenever you look at it, if you want to see it as a kid, if that helps you, think about maybe your heart space as a star, and it has different stars connected. Again, just use your own imagination in order for that to be easier to be seen and for you to understand it. Because you have to start doing this soft, gentle, understanding what's going on. Just give it space. And give yourself space, right? Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of energy. Like forgiving, releasing, and all those kinds of things take a lot of energy out of you. So you don't really want to do that in one day. Like work through your entire map and do all these things, because then it's going to take a lot out of you. You start little by little, and if you don't even know how to get there, then start with like sitting with the feelings. Why did your mom make you mad? She's revealing something to you. So okay, sit and just be like, okay, why were we mad? So you can totally talk to your own organism, because it hears you and it speaks to you. So the more you sit, the more you'll be able to hear the communication, whether it's by words, by feelings, and signals, etc. So begin to sit. Begin to sit. Even if it's for 5 seconds at the beginning, that's better than doing nothing. Because again, you do nothing, and then those parts of you get a little bit more hurt, just like a child. It gets hurt and be like, oh, it's not listening to me again, and I'm still knocking on this door, and I'm just here, like, the energy's not moving, and it's creating a bigger sphere and a bigger, how do we call this? Yeah, biggest fear, something, just a rock that is not allowing the energy to move and flow. So that's the first step, sitting with those things, And prior to that step, is acknowledging that whenever an energy moves through you, whether it's fear, anger, or, we tend to look at them as the negative emotions, right? Those low vibrational emotions, is because something in you was moving, and it sent a signal to that person that came to you for them to show it to you. So that's the first step, recognizing that it has nothing to do with the other person, but within you. and they're being the perfect mirror and then being of service to you to begin to work through something. So first, that is the very first step that you must do if you totally want to tune in into your own energetics and work with yourself, right? And again, sometimes at the beginning, it's just so intense, and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for guidance, because some people have been doing this, right? And if you don't, you don't, and that's your own thing, and then it might hurt a little bit. So recognize when there's something that you can do, and recognize when there's something that you definitely need the help. Because again, you don't want to go from here into here, or you just don't want to go into completely shocking your own organism that then you don't even know how to function. Because that's the worst thing that you can do, right? When you're trying to make things work, but rather than making things work, you're just making them worse, right? So we don't want to do that at all. Cool. Whoa. Oh, that came through. That was awesome. So do you guys get what I'm saying, and about your own city and your maps, and then you can connect with other aspects of other people's cities and stuff. Okay, cool. I'm so happy that you guys are online. Hi everyone that was saying hi. Yes, finding the teacher in the space and a journey of healing. For sure. Cool. Yeah, you guys, I don't have my oracle cards with me. So the readings that I do is just going into the space of what I like to call the still point, the throne of consciousness, and something quote unquote greater than me does the work and is spoken through me for you. So, okay, cool, yay, awesome. So yeah, and just be very gentle with yourself, just completely be very gentle, because the self-healing part and journey, it can be intense. It can be intense, but if you again know that you're doing this because you love yourself and because you can be at that level where you want to be or have the life of your dreams, then you can. So keep that also in mind and be gentle. You don't have to do everything at once. You can do it little by little and listen little by little. So the one thing that is very important is to always approach things as a what is this word? I was just reading this because I restarted doing this book. Have you guys know the Artist's Way? So this is the second book, which I started last year and I wasn't ready for it, and I stopped, and I'm not even sure what chapter. But so I just started it, and so the first part, it just talks about approaching everything like a beginner. There you go, like a beginner, right? Rather than just thinking about I want to be here and just I'm doing this just to be able to see everything in my own organism, because it can shock that and not allow yourself to enjoy the beginning part. And so just be a beginner, and just be gentle and listen to the organism, listen to everything that is speaking through you. And little by little, you will get into the space, right? So energetic work, when you get attuned to something, whether it's Reiki or other energetic modalities, it's almost like a boost. So when an attunement happens, right, this is what it's called when you get called a Reiki practitioner, whether it's level 1, 2, 3, masters, whatever. You get an attunement. So what the Reiki master does is allow source to give you a little boost. So that's why after you do an energetic training, you feel so good, because you're like, oh, cool, I feel lighter and stuff. Yeah, they give you a boost. But if you were here and now you're here, now in this space, you got to work through everything that was in between. And that's why sometimes even it starts before, the healing starts before you get the energetic training, and even after, because you have to apply all those things that you just learned in order to put this gap in balance and be here. So, and of course, you know, you don't really need to get an attunement in any kind of energy work because it's already within you. But again, it's the guidance, right? The help from someone that already walked that path and is there to guide you and to make your path easier rather than rocky and kind of confusing. Because they already went through that and they acquire more wisdom. They can help somebody else do the same easier, right? So that's why I share these things, because I didn't know. And through all my experience and the wisdom that I acquire from experience, then I can tell you these things and guide you in a better way, so you don't just go like this and you'll be like, oh, okay, that makes more sense, you know, if it makes more sense to you, of course. That way you can maneuver these spaces in a better way and not clash all the time. Yeah, cool. I know there's something else coming. You guys probably was like, yeah, we know. But before I go into that, yeah, so the space of self-love, you know, this activation is really, really beautiful, you guys, very, very beautiful. And so again, I will post that in there. And Wednesday, I hope to see some of you for the transmission. There will be connectivity, just to cleanse those pipes, right? Cleanse the pipes within your own city and the ones that connect you outwards with everything else, so you feel the connectivity more. So there's not just like bloop, you know? Cool. Oh, you're so welcome, Marcel. Yay. Awesome. So, does anybody have any questions regarding what I was just saying, your own city and things like that? Oh, okay, here it goes. So, you know, sometimes, I'm just going to put an example, right? So sometimes you want to really be friends with this one person and it's just not working very well, right? Whether they're not really receiving the relationship or that connection to you, or whatever it is. Maybe they're too busy in their own little world that is not functioning well. So what is happening energetically is that city kind of shut their walls, you can say it, you know. So then your own energy and the connectors that go from your own city into their city is not really reaching. So the walls happen because, of course, something happened throughout their life that they just pull the walls up, right? And we feel that a lot, right? Like you put the walls up when somebody hurts you and all these things is really, really hard. It could be really hard to release those walls. But so if you continue to try to go into the city, rather than empowering them and allowing them, giving them the space to release the walls a little, they're just going to continue to build them up and continue to find themselves like this, right? So if there is something that is not going well between you and another person and another connection, just let it be. Let it be, because that's how it's supposed to be at the moment in time. Whenever they're ready to speak, or even yourself, right? Whenever you're ready to speak and share, then the walls will soften, and then the connectors are actually working very well, and the communication can be received, and it can happen, because otherwise it won't. And otherwise the walls will continue to build up, or your walls can be continued to build up, because you can also be in that space, right? That you're just here and then you're fine, and there comes this person that continues to like send all these messages to you, and you're like, dude, can you please stop? And they're like, no, and so your walls are built up, right? And you can also tell them, right? Speak, throat chakra, open the throat and be like, right now I don't feel comfortable with whatever you're saying, or I don't know, I just need space, you know, to go through what I am going through and understand what I'm going through before I can talk to you. And of course, say this gently in a good way. That way they can understand it, right? Communication is very, very important. And it's also very important, so the throat opens And so you can speak from the heart, and you can begin to, or you can continue to manifest, but the manifestation can be faster and stronger. Because if the throat is not connected, it's not okay. That's the wrong thing to say. If the channels from the heart to the throat are blocked, and so maybe the channels, the only channels that are connected from the throat are the ones from the sacral chakra, right, where all the hurt happened, whatever it was from the sage's family. Then the throat will speak from that chakra rather than from the heart. So again, that's why do you want to open the throat? You want to open the heart. Remember that the heart is the biggest portal that you have, literally the biggest portal that you have. So allow the heart to expand how it wants to expand, and that will open up also the throat. The more you open up the heart, the more the connectors with everything else, with the solar plexus, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the throat, etc., they begin to open, because it's very, very powerful. It's one of the most powerful neighborhoods or suburbans. How do you call it? Is that how you call it from a city, right? So one of the most powerful parts of your city, the heart. So then the throat learns, it's like, oh, there was a connector here, and I can speak from the space of unconditional love and compassion. Cool. And then you're empowering yourself more rather than hurting somebody else because you're speaking from the sacral chakra or the root chakra, which are the animal instincts, right? The lower chakras are the animal instincts, to somebody else. And again, if they are already in a space where they feel low and stuff, you can be, one word can just take them even lower, and who knows what can happen to them or what they can do to them. So communication is very, very important. Open the throat. Even though I know that it's scary, I know it's scary to, do you guys open do you guys feel the openness of the throat right now? So I know it's really scary at times, to share your thoughts, to just speak up. But that's what your being wants to do. Your being doesn't want to be like this. Your being wants to be free and expansive, and to share the wisdom that it has, because you all have your own wisdom, because you've gone through life experiences. That's why you relate very, very well with some people that have gone through similar experiences, right? Because you, in a sense, you can guide them because you already went through that and you learned, and then you put that at peace and at ease, and you, rather than allowing those memories to just take you back with some of your energy from the present moment into the past, that you acquire wisdom, and then they don't hold any kind of energy that can take you back. And so then you can teach others, right? Just like what I'm doing, right? Because I learned through experience. And that's why you relate with others, right? And that's why you honestly attract people that have gone through similar experiences, because you are, in that aspect, you're wiser than them. And you can tell them, okay, yeah, you can do that, but then you can do this, and it'd be much easier, and then you won't hurt as much. So this is what's happening. Life knows, the bigger system, right, the bigger city knows what you went through, your experiences, and it kind of opens up those connectors to other people that have gone through similar experiences or are about to go through the similar experiences or are in the similar experiences that you already went through, and the connectors open up, and then boom, it finds you. It's like, okay, cool. That's why it says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Because then you're ready, the connectors open up, and then boom, there's this person that can guide you to do something. Cool. Any questions regarding to that? Oh, cool, Arjun, yay. And so again, think about your being just as something super magical, because then it's easier to tune in into those things than just thinking like, oh God, I'm so messed up and I have all these blockages and blah 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 blah, because then you're putting yourself down, because you're constantly listening, and so just begin to have fun with it, begin to have fun with your own being, and begin to understand it more. Because why not? Why not? You're here for a reason, and so it's good to be in tune with whatever is happening within you. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think that's definitely it. All right, that was the one thing I wanted to pass through. Awesome, awesome. So much love to all of you. I'm so grateful. Well, we are so grateful that you're here, that you take space in order to be with us and to, when I said us, I mean like everything that passes through, because trust me, I had no idea that whatever I just said was going to happen. And of course, my boyfriend's angelic guidance that it has its own organism. Oh, yay, Gloria, you're so welcome. It's such an honor, it's such an honor. So, yeah. And so much gratitude, so much love. Yes, I love you all so much, so much. And if anything else pops up, of course, I'll let you know. I tend not to be so much online on Saturdays because it's the day, we decided to clean on Saturdays too. But at the same time, that's the day when I try to be off social media too, because you need that balance to, to spend time with myself and my boyfriend, with nature, and etc. But that's why we're very active during the week. But of course, if you need anything, send a message. You can always set up, here's another thing, a free consultation, right? Just so we can talk about it. We had this thing happen that somebody did sign up for a free consultation. Is that how you say it? Yeah. And we couldn't find them. So send me a message, if you want to have a free consultation, send me a message and I will send you a link, or just go to our website, because then you can actually just go into like setting up the time that works for you the best. And then you get the email. So check your email, because that's how we send the link for the consultation. That way there's no lost communication or we're lost in translation. Cool. Okay. And I will also put the activation there if you like to get it. And it's about 30 minutes or so, but it's completely beautiful. So if you're ready to dive deeper into your unconditional love and expanding that part and loving yourself more, self-love, then it's definitely a very good invitation for you. Sí, Gloria, sí. Yeah, he's a Reiki master. We hold space for others too through inner dance, which is what we were. I don't think you were there, but it's a Kundalini activation, and it's a journey through sound. So sound healing journey. So we did that. We do that as well. And in Colombia we haven't done so, but when we were living in Cusco, we were holding space for others in the center where we used to work through that. And it's kind of cool. He's really awesome with energy too. It fascinates me. And he knows how to work with my own energy. It's kind of like, wow, how did you learn this? But it's awesome. So see, this is what you can find, right? The more that you invite the self-love, and the more that you work through your own stuck energies and those blockages, is the more that you open up your being and you open up those signals to your person, to your person, to truly connect with you. And yeah, it happens. Just like you honestly can't even picture how it will happen. It just happened like magic. So if you're looking for that one person, first find yourself. Because if you continue to look around, then it's not really going to happen, because all the work happens inside first. So first find yourself, which you were never lost actually, but there is that illusion that you were lost because of the energy that is not circulating and is being blocked from different things within you. So tune in first, realize that you're not lost, realize that you have everything inside. And the moment you begin to do that, and with more work, those channels to your person open up and they show up, or you show up to them. That's what I did. So, okay. Yes, that was good. All right. So this time is good. Oh, you're so welcome, Peter. Thank you for staying up so late. I mean, I hope this is not so late for you, but it will definitely be late for me. So I'm very grateful for you that you tune in to the videos and stuff. So I'm sending you so much love. And of course, so much love to everyone, so much gratitude, and I love you so much. I will send you the link for the activation, and we'll see you soon. Ciao, peace.